when the lights go down and the sun comes up. Break my bones and I still stand tall.
For the first time in its 10-year history, The Ultimate Fighter leaves Las Vegas and creates a whole new format. Two of the best MMA teams in the world compete for $500,000. It's a head-to-head Ultimate Fighter competition between rival gyms with championship pedigree. Dan Lambert and his American top team
1, 2, 3. ATT!
will fight Glenn Robinson and the Blackzilians. And it all goes down in South Florida, home turf claimed by both teams.
Two of the best teams in the business.
It's gym versus gym.
So if you have nothing to say, keep my name out your mouth.
Bro, I'll fight you any day.
Owner versus owner.
Glenn's a phony douchebag.
I really don't have any respect for Dan.
And there is no love lost.
I'll bury the hatchet right now, right between his shoulders. It's embarrassing. You are embarrassed. You're the most unathletic guy in the room.
I've never seen two human beings who do not like each other more than you two.
They will fight for team pride.
Try your hardest. Everyone here is in shape. Everyone here is ready to go.
Get ready! Let's go! Let's go!
Once the competition starts going, you're going to see that explosiveness.
When the lights go down and the sun comes up.
Buckle your seatbelts because we're not slowing down.
They will fight for each other.
Give me something soft that doesn't bite his tongue off. Call 911. I'm next. I'll go again.
Only one team will win the prize and bragging rights.
Gentlemen, welcome to The Ultimate Fighter.
The new season and new era of The Ultimate Fighter begins April 22nd.
Welcome to the inaugural Bookie Beatdown TUF 21 Fantasy episode. Cody Saptic and Paul Shaughnessy here with you. What is TUF Fantasy, you ask? Well, me and Cody have been talking about it a long time. We've always watched every single season of The Ultimate Fighter. A lot of people not so into it anymore. So we thought of an idea that we could get some people back into the fold here. And that's to make kind of a game out of it. And this is going to work in a lot of different ways. So say you have a girlfriend who doesn't want to watch fighting with you, or she doesn't let you go out on the weekends to watch your fights or whatever. You can kind of get her into this by saying, hey, we have a game that we can play together every single Wednesday for the next 10 weeks or so. There's that, and then there's plenty of fight fans out there just aren't interested anymore. This season, TUF 21, ATT versus Blackzilians looks pretty interesting to me, but I watch pretty much every season of this. But yeah, we created a game here, so we have 4 columns of people. We have the gym owners, so Dan Lambert, Glenn Robertson. We have seasoned vets, Steve Carl, Nathan Coy, Marcelo Alfaya, Luiz Firmino, Buscape, and my boy Kamaru, Usman. Middle of the pack guys, we have Hayder Hassan, Sabah Homasi, Carrington Banks, Valdir Araujo, Felipe Portela, and Andrews Nakahara, and up-and-comers. The only way that I actually made this was based on them being under the age of 25. There's middle of the pack and up-and-comers, very similar, I would think, in terms of talents, or there's not a lot of tape on a lot of these guys, I think, at the end of the day. Save only for somebody like Valdir Araujo. But the up-and-comers are Michael Graves, Uros Jurisic, Steve Montgomery, Jesse Jackson, and Vicente Luque.
Nice. Butchered half of those names, but I know exactly what you mean. So.
I probably did butcher.
You got the memo.
There's not a lot of tape on this. You can't go on the UFC's website and find out the proper pronunciation of these guys yet, but there's a lot of pretty decent talent here. Definitely, an interesting storyline here. Why don't you tell everybody about the Blackzilians and ATT and the issues that those two camps have with each other?
Yeah, well, this is stemming back from American Top Team, which is one of the original, mega gyms in the United States anyways. They've been around for a very, very long time. So as the story goes, you got Glenn Robinson, whose wife apparently trains, fitness training. She goes into the American Top Team.
Just wants to look good.
Yeah, exactly. So Glenn Robinson, he comes in, probably doesn't want his wife sleeping around with these mega built guys in the gym. So he comes and he hangs out. So he looks around and says, man, these guys are cool. I wish I could be cool like them. You know what? I got a bunch of money.
Yep.
Buys himself a gym, brands it the Blackzilians. He gets a bunch of very good guys. But as the story goes, and I can't verify this, but he poached a lot of guys from
Yeah,
American
like
Top.
Jay-Z Cavalcante was one of those guys. I forget the other two people that were like front and center in that whole drama.
But you notice a lot of guys, even guys like Antonio Bigfoot Silva, he was one of the original
you've had
guys
jump
that
back
you
and
would
forth.
just see over. And even now, and one thing I thought was very interesting is, and as the story goes, I mean, expanding on it, not only did they try to poach guys from American Top Team, but they went and poached guys from other gyms as well. So you guys like Valdir Araujo, he's not even really a Blackzilian. He used to train at MMA Masters. I believe Felipe Portela or Vincent Luque, but one of the other guys, also an MMA Masters fighter. So you got two guys that are actually under the MMA Masters banner, now Blackzilians. Once again, you know, you got a good offer come your way. And
One of the things
someone's
Glenn
offering
Robinson
you some
probably saw that
money.
this show was starting up, said, I want to give myself the best opportunity to beat Dan Lambert and show him who the real king of Southern Florida is.
Yeah.
So he brings in a couple extra
So
guys.
the key here is if you're looking at it and you're like, oh, the better fighters on American Top Team, or the better fighters are on the Blackzilians, and those are the guys you want. But this goes way beyond that. You're looking to score points by winning fights, sure, but you can score points multiples of ways, including certain phrases, certain actions that you do. I'll let you break down some of that more, but it is more than simply, oh, this guy will hold that guy down and get the win. You need actual characters.
So here's the skinny, guys. What you have to do if you want to get involved, if your friends want to get involved, if you don't even want to join our league and you want to start your own league, you can get involved because we'll be posting or letting people know the points that everybody gets. But let it be known that if you don't want to join our league, you're more or less dead to me and Cody at this point. But yeah,
Everybody's
definitely,
welcome to play.
What
and
you
it's
have
free.
to do is follow the simple rules. Gym owners, you're going to pick one of them. Seasoned vets, you're going to pick 2. Middle of the pack, you pick 2. And up-and-comers, you pick 2. And send those to toughfantasy@gmail.com. I can't stress this enough. Don't write it in the comment section below. Don't tweet me at Paul Shag and tell me to I want to get in. Just send it to the email. I don't want to be at a bar on a Friday night and look down and Joe Schmo sent me his team.
Hey.
I don't have time for these things. I want to be. I hate to be harsh about it, but yeah, if you want to get in on this, send it to toughfantasy@gmail.com. Otherwise, it's all your fault if you don't get into this league. And it's going to be a lot of fun because here how the scoring breaks down. You got, your general fighting. So this is for the person who thinks that they have a general understanding of who are the better fighters in the house and so on and so forth. If you know that, then this is going to help you a lot. Win a fight by decision, 20 points. Win fight by KO/TKO, 30 points. Win fight by submission, 30 points. Simple enough, right? Then we get into a little bit more fun here. So this is why you can invite all of your friends who aren't usual MMA fans or aren't usual UFC fans for that matter, or The Ultimate Fighter, because this is a total crapshoot at the end of the day. A lot of these people, we don't know whether they're complete maniacs or what the deal is with them. So you're basically throwing some darts at a board here.
But that's what keeps the interest level up, because
Yep.
a lot of the time we see with other seasons where we'll get our friends together and be like, oh, hey, let's watch this Ultimate season of The Ultimate Fighter. There's some really good guys on it. And they'll watch it for the first 2-3 episodes, but then midway it's like, I just kind of fell out of it.
Yep.
Now you're in a situation where you're like, oof, you know what? I still got Valdir Araujo going, or I still got Carrington Banks going, and I want to score. So it keeps that interest. And
I think Michael Graves is going to surprise a lot of people, man.
Exactly, but it keeps you tuning in. And the biggest thing that I noticed from just these fantasy leagues is my former roommate was big into The Bachelor. I wouldn't be caught dead watching The Bachelor.
I was on The Bachelor. I more or less poached this idea from him. I actually spoke to
But that's
TV's
the beauty
Pat
of it.
Mayo.
That's what I really like about it,
That's
is
very
that
fun.
I had no interest in The Bachelor. But he says, you know what? All you got to do is pick 6 girls and so, okay, whatever. She's hot, mega babe, perfect 10 out of 10. Oh, who would ever turn down that girl? My team didn't even do good. But then you find yourself, he's watching the show and you're looking over and the girl's swearing and the one girl they're blurring her out her privates. It's like, oh, that's points for me right there. One girl slaps another girl like, oh, that's points for me. Like, it's fun. And as you mentioned, even if your girlfriend's not into Ultimate Fighter, I mean, she comes over, you let her pick a team too. Just be like, honey, pick out the 6 best looking guys. Okay, I like this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Then you realize, realize, she picked all of the black guys. You might have an issue on your problem. Your girlfriend's going to leave you soon. But getting back to the actual game.
You could be a black guy, though.
You know what I noticed? American Top Team has got six Americans on it. The Blackzilians just have the one guy. Mm-hmm. So literally, Valdir Araujo is Brazilian. Luiz Buscape is Brazilian. Vicente Luque is Brazilian. Andrews Nakahara is Japanese-Brazilian. Felipe Portela is Brazilian. Kamaru Usman's from Nigeria. Jason Jackson's from Jamaica. One single guy. So you got a bit of flavor coming in. I used to think Blackzilians was a bit of a weird name because it's not just black guys and Brazilians.
You got Matt Matrone training there now.
Ryan LaFleur, he's like the whitest guy ever, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It's a good team dynamic. So
all right, so here are all the fun little ones to break down here. We got phrases we'll start with here. We've got complaining about an injury. 5 points.
They always do that.
Everybody always complains about injury. It could be a legitimate injury, but you're pretty. I'm surprised we didn't give negative points on this one here, but hey, that's just the way the cookie
Listen,
crumbles.
this is our first one, so it's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. Nobody else is doing this. Me and Cody will be calculating all the points, and all decisions by the two of us are final. Because there's going to be things that are very close to actually happening.
Of course, yeah.
We're going to have to debate between the two of us. And we may have to bring somebody else, third party to break a tie in a situation.
An arbitrator.
All right, so making a death threat, 10 points. Saying you miss your kids, -5 points because it's soft.
Oh, so soft. And they do that all the time.
Yep.
I just miss my kids so much, man.
Saying that you're not here to make friends, 5 points.
But you're on a team. This one's a bit weird because normally you're not there to make friends.
They're all living in the same house together, though.
Fair enough.
So they're not there to make friends with if you're a Blackzilian, you're not there to make friends with any ATT folk, that's for sure.
Even though you probably used to train at ATT.
Saying bro. You know that's going to happen a lot.
Very popular amongst the TUF franchise.
100%. We got mentioning being bullied as a kid. It's like if you think of George St. Pierre, that's like the first thing that ever comes out of his mouth, that he was bullied as a kid. And there's so many mixed martial arts that that is why they got into martial arts in the first place, right? Is to avoid being bullied. So that's 5 points there. Mentioning a deceased loved one, 5 points. Claiming to feel disrespected, 5 points. You know, that's going to happen a lot, too.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone
you disrespected me, bro? And take your shirt off? Those are all points, man.
That would be 10 points right there.
Oh, yeah.
Thanking God, 5 points. And saying you're doing this for your kids/family is 5 points. Because that's not as soft as saying, I miss my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you got mouths to feed. You got to man up and go out and do it. So, yeah, that's definitely a bit of a better statement. But those are the sayings. So, obviously, we'll be going through that carefully, and we'll be paying attention and making sure to mark down everything as you go. But this is where it comes down to. In the first bracket, it's like, okay, I want a guy that's going to score a lot of points. Maybe you're going to get a really boring wrestler. In an Ultimate Fighter, being one-dimensional is the way to go. So, let's say, for the sake of argument, you take a guy like Nathan Coy. Nathan Coy is highly experienced. He's a good wrestling pedigree. He's fought some very good guys. Split decision loss to Tyrone Woodley, win over Rick Story, well-traveled, good guy. You want a guy like that. Jeez, does Nathan Coy have any personality? Because if he's just simply winning his fights, but in the house he's just kind of hanging out, especially because he's hanging out with a shirt on, not saying bro or praising the Lord, not scoring points. So you do kind of want these guys that are a little bit, a Junie Browning type guy is going to score points, right?
Exactly. Even if he doesn't win fights, he's going to be scoring points a lot unless he gets kicked off the show. But let's get into the actions here where we've got missing weight, -10 points. Not a good look on the Ultimate Fighter. Always
guys miss weight very frequently.
Very frequently. Visibly intoxicated on camera, 20 points. Lots of fun. I don't know if that's going to happen as much this season because they're with their own teammates, but we'll find out a lot about these respective gyms over the process of it. Having a body part blurred out, 10 points. Throwing up, -10 points. Why? Because it's soft. Real men don't puke.
Yeah, but what if you're drinking on camera, then you're scoring points, and then throwing up and losing points? It's better than being at the gym and
That's
throwing
true.
up.
Visibly intoxicated on camera is 20. So if you puked afterwards, you're still getting positive 10.
A little something. But being out of shape at the gym, not good. That loses you 10 points if you throw up.
And we got breaking a door, 25 points.
Tough classic.
Tough
breaking
classic.
doors.
And that's why it deserves 25 points. That's a real aggressive move, and it seems to happen maybe once a season.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of
It
thing.
basically always pops up something. Those doors are so thin, you can just rip them straight off the hinges.
They probably put like special, like real breakable doors on there just
so that you don't
just to add to the
hit
flair.
it with your hand breaks, you're out of the finale. It's like, let's just make
Exactly.
cardboard doors and avoid that.
Getting kicked off the show, minus 50. Not a good look. So the guy, it's like a guy like Junie Browning. He may be doing really, really well by being a total maniac all the time, and then all of a sudden you're just like, all right, yeah, I've got the number one scorer on my team. And he got too drunk and peed on somebody.
Could be
got
anything.
Kicked off the show.
In his case, he broke a glass and they offered, do you want to get him kicked off or does somebody want to fight him? And someone's like, I'll fight him. But you see it all the time. A guy like Jesse Taylor just booting a window out. You know what I mean? Like even in the first season, there's
Would booting a window count as breaking a door? Wow. We didn't think that far ahead.
No, it doesn't. Just because we're specific on it. You got to physically
Yeah.
break the door, and also, I mean, when have you ever seen them boot out a window? I mean, that's a little extreme. I've seen
Happened one time.
inside the house they'll do whatever. I've seen them throw pool balls through the door. But then again, that's all in Vegas, and Vegas has their own tough house, and
They
it's
have
been
their own
thrashed
tough
of these.
house for this season as well.
Yes.
And all of the guys are living in the same
South
house.
Florida, right? So I don't know, different house, different rules. I don't know.
different.
Maybe the UFC's like, listen, guys, we don't own this thing. We're kind of renting it, so don't throw pool balls through the doors.
The doors are actually made of steel.
yeah, exactly.
All right, getting a kick off the show. We got peeing on something other than a toilet, 15 points. Definitely an interesting one there. Crying on camera, minus 10 points. Again,
Soft.
because real men don't cry. We've got physically attacking another contestant outside of competition/training, 20 points. I like that one a lot. Having your language censored, plus 5 points. Quitting the show because you don't want to make weight, minus 50 points. That's the Cody Bollinger rule there,
That
folks.
is the Cody Bollinger rule.
And that would actually be coupled up with getting kicked off of the show and missing weight. So it would be actually minus 110 points what Cody Bollinger did. So you have to avoid
Mentally
getting somebody
weak people.
who's really soft like that, or your whole season's over. You may be in first place, and then somebody Cody Bollingers you, and it is all over. All right, and then we have messing with someone while they sleep, 10 points. Being shirtless in a normal human area. Swimming, training, fight, and weigh-ins do not count. So if they're just hanging out in the house, those 5 points are going to count. But, they have to be in a normal human setting for those points to count. So,
Can't be poolside,
fight-related things don't count. Taking off your shirt as a form of intimidation. You have a pretty good story from one Nathan Diaz about that.
Yeah, so I'm rewatching Ultimate Fighter Season 5 the other day, and Rob Emerson writes on the wall, Team Pulver sucks. So the Team Pulver comes back from training, and Diaz walks, and he sees that. He's like, Team Pulver sucks. I'm Team Pulver. You saying I suck? Pulls off the shirt. So that's shirt off for intimidation. That's 10 points.
10 points.
He's like, gets in everybody's face. He's cussing, so that's more points, getting your language censored out. And he's trying to fight everybody. He's trying to fight everybody. He's trying to fight everybody. That's how you want to score the points. Flip side to that.
You want Nathan Diaz on your team. Or you want this season's Nathan Diaz.
If anybody's familiar with that exact scene, too, Nate Diaz starts to calm down, and Manny Gambarino walks in. He's like, what's happening, bro? And they're like, they wrote Team Pulver. He's like, what? And he goes fired up. It's like, oh, shit. It's about to pop off all up in here. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for
100%.
hot-headed guys. And a lot of it's entertainment. You know what I mean? We've made a lot of these rules based on one of two things. Other fantasy leagues, The Challenge, MTV's The Challenge, Bachelor, things of that various nature, but also just from watching The Ultimate Fighter, what are reoccurring things?
Yep.
The thing with the peeing on something other than the toilet, a lot of people will jump to the, that happened with Chris Liebman and Jason Thacker in Season 1. But also, there's times where you tamper with somebody's food and you pee on something, or you pee on somebody's gym bag, or whatever it happens to be.
People could really be peeing all over the place.
You could,
Things could
theoretically
get
speaking,
weird up in the house.
Theoretically speaking, and in other seasons, once you're out and you don't get sent home and you're not fighting, you get real boozed. So a theoretical situation is you lose your fight, then you get boozed, now you're visibly intoxicated, and you pee on the wall. That's all points, baby. This is good times. Now, I'm not saying that's specifically going to happen in this season, but this is not our first and only version of the Ultimate Fighter. We'll continue to do
We're gonna
this.
be-
and
we're
you're
gonna
going to
be-
get interesting stats
And
like
we're
that.
we're gonna be kind of updating year to year, based on how what things work. Like basically, people, you're getting in on the ground floor here with this season. Just a few more here. We've got pointing out somebody's poor dietary habits, 5 points, and eating junk food before a fight, 5 points.
The Jesse Taylor rule.
Kelvin Gastelum was frying up bacon when he had like 20 pounds to cut in like 12 hours.
Well, Jesse Taylor eats a whole pizza, and they're like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, no problem. I'm gonna put on a sauna suit, play some ping pong, and make the weight. He does. He makes the weight.
Some of those guys are just good at that.
Genetic freaks, man.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, we've got Dana's impressions. Obviously, if you ever watched The Ultimate Fighter before, Dana, every once in a while, he shows up basically for the fights, and then he gives his 2 cents on things. And then every once in a while, usually once per season, he has like a one-on-one, heart-to-heart with somebody. This is almost like a bonus 20 points that we've got listed on this one. Usually it's like Michael Chiesa's dad dies, so he has a heart-to-heart with Dana. Or Beck Hyatt, I believe, had something that went on.
Family member. I think it was their stepdad.
Yeah, something like that.
Father and stepdad, yeah. I think so.
So having that, but that would also, and mentioning the deceased loved one is one of the phrases as well. So you're getting some serious points right there. For the most part, Dana's impressions are negative, though.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got Dana says he's unimpressed with a fighter's performance. That's -5 points. Dana says that a fighter quit. That is -10 points. Dana says fighter is not cut out for this. -10 points. Dana asks if a fighter wants to be a fucking fighter. -30 points. Obviously, that's from the first season of The Ultimate Fighters, that whole Spike TV debacle, and a bunch of the guys thought that they were going to get paid, yada, yada, yada. I would be very shocked if anybody was allotted this. That's why I thought -30 points had to be allotted to this, because if he's saying that to you, you're probably getting booted off the show as well. Because
not a good look for you,
Dana
that's for
does
sure.
not want to say that ever again.
Moving forward, because we're going to add stuff, but we should have put the Felipe Nover Dana White saying, if they say you're the next GSP.
Next GSP, next Anderson Silva, next Ronda Rousey.
That is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we didn't put that in, so we won't score it.
Well, there's always time to update in future seasons.
Well, we just to say something out to the viewers, we will never update the rules as the season's happening.
No.
Once the first episode starts, you're not going to get screwed by, we made up a rule and I didn't get points off it. Also,
everything that we mentioned in this episode is all that we're going to
And we'll send out weekly scoring. So every week you'll know, okay, my team is I'm 34th place, or I'm in first place, or whatever the case is. You'll be able to know who you still have left in it, who your team is, the points that are being scored. So fun, interactive way to keep up with it.
Dana says a fighter had a good fight, 5 points, and Dana says fighter/fighters were in a war, 5 points. So those are good points.
Those are good
points. And Dana usually, at the end of every single fight, Dana has something to say about said fight. So,
unless it's Josh Hill's fight. He just slips at the back.
So any people that you're looking at here, in terms of gym owners, Glenn Robertson or Dan Lambert, who do you think's the more volatile of the two?
Yeah, well, volatile, I'm going to have to go with Lambert, because it's like you stole things that I worked hard for, right? So I have to feel like if you're Glenn Robinson, in the interviews that I've seen, Glenn Robinson's not good in front of a camera. So he stutters a lot, and he doesn't like to look at the camera. And quite frankly, he's just not good in front of a microphone. So I don't know how much I can physically expect out of him other than him getting bullied most of the time. Yeah. Now you've got Dan Lambert's a guy that has been around for a very long time. He has raised world champions from the bottom up. He's been around this whole setting. I don't want to say he's a fighter because he's just simply a gym owner, but he's a guy that gets the mentality, and he gets that. And I can see him try to mentally break Glenn Robinson. I can see him going off on Glenn Robinson. And even just from the small previews that you see, he's telling him,
looks like he's getting bullied.
You are the worst shaped guy in this room, pal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's getting fired up, and I like that. Sure. And so I think his team is slightly better as well. I think his personality is better. And quite frankly, I just like him more.
That's borderline points for pointing out somebody's poor dietary habits right there. Saying you're the worst shaped guy in the room, pal.
Yeah, well, be specific. So, yeah.
I don't know if we actually specifically laid that out, so that may just be some free points right there on Dan Lambert. Any of the seasoned vets that you've got your eye on there?
Yeah, well, seasoned vets, I mean, when you look at it really quick, it's like, okay, well, Steve Carl, I mean, that's the former World Series of Fighting champion, right? He's got a win over Josh Berkman, who's in the UFC. I mean, lost to Hector Lombard, but one, it's Hector Lombard, two.
Lombard was
TR ratios right through the roof.
Yep.
So Berkman's not bad. So seeing Steve Carl win, and he won in the 4th round. So cardio seems to be on his side. Nathan Coy, we already talked about him. This is a guy that went the distance with Tyrone Woodley, losing a split decision, has a win over Rick Story. In his last fight, he was knocked out in the second round, and he didn't look particularly great in the first round, so something to keep in mind there. A grizzly old vet that's been at the top of the mountain, but we don't really know where he's at. Now, Marcelo Alfaya, this is another World Series of Fighting veteran. He gave John Fitch a hell of a go. I mean, on John Fitch's back, and if Fitch didn't have a supremely good rear naked choke defense, I mean, that's a choke that possibly could have gone in.
And Alfaya also has a pretty vicious knockout win over Valdir Araujo, who's in the...
Valdir Araujo. Exactly. So now you're like, okay, well, this is a top pick from the Blackzilians, or a mid-pack
And apparently
pick.
on this season, they're not going to know the fights until they get to the weigh-in. So if you're
that's great. That's
wins,
gorgeous.
that's the type of thing
Love
that you're going to do. It'd be like, all right, well, Alfaya, you've already knocked this guy out in like 25 seconds. So why don't we just do that again? He doesn't find out until he sees you at the weigh-in. So that's something definitely to look at.
Most definitely.
Another guy is Kamaru Usman that a lot of people are high on. Bloody Elbow has an article that they have him listed as the number 1 welterweight prospect in the world. He's 5-1. He's a 2-time All-American or national champion.
He's a Division II national champion. His wrestling chops are unbelievable and just a very athletic guy. So you have to assume he's getting better and better as time goes on. So definitely somebody worth keeping in mind. On the flip side, looking back at the season vets pick, right? One pick that should be almost a lock guy, right? You've got Luiz Firmino Buscape. He's the most experienced guy. He's got loads of experience. He's got the best wins. This guy fought in Pride. I mean, talk about... I don't know if this is the first time an Ultimate Fighter veteran had fought in Pride. Like, that's crazy to me. He's been around so long. The one knock on him is that he's a natural 155-pounder, now going into this house at 170 pounds. One of the only guys doing that. So he's giving up size. He won't have trouble making weight. You probably don't got to worry about him missing weight and costing you points. But a guy like Usman, who's very green still, could theoretically take him down and hold him down for those 3 rounds. So something definitely worth keeping in mind. And rounding out that top list is Usman, simply because even though he's so green, you would rather see him in the uppercomer or the mid-pack list, but everybody's going to pick him if that's the case.
If you
so put him in the season vets pick. He's not a season vet.
Certain people like prospects, and I'm the type of guy who always just like, oh, check out this prospect, man. He's gonna be the best. So like, I'm probably the type of person who's gonna have Usman because I like to roll the dice a little bit.
Well, you're rolling the dice now. If you're a fan at home and you're sitting there and you're looking at the top thing, you're like, okay, I really like Steve Carl. I mean, I've seen him. I think he's really good. Okay, and I gotta have Buscape. I mean, he's on a huge winning streak against good guys, but then I can't get Usman. Okay. No Steve Carl. I'll take Buscape and I'll take Usman. Oh man, but yeah. You can play around with it easier. If Usman's in the second bracket or the third bracket, he's a foregone conclusion. You're going to take him. So if you want him, take him. You're gonna have to roll those dice a little bit, just like you're saying.
I hear you. Now, middle of the pack. Any guys that you have your eyes on right now?
Yes.
Middle of the pack, I think, is the hardest pack to pick out of, in my opinion.
Well, that's because they're mid-range guys. I mean, you're looking at them, you're like, okay, these are not the seasoned vets that I'm looking for, and at the same time, they're not those young up-and-comers. The guy I got my eye on is Hayder Hassan at 6-1. He's 32 years old, so not the youngest guy.
Is he a crazy person, though?
God, I hope so. But what really jumped up at me here is that his last fight, he knocked out Felipe Portela in the first round. His fight before that, he knocked out Jason Jackson in the third round. Both those guys are on this season of The Ultimate Fighter. Yep. So his last 2 wins are against members of the team Blackzilians. Mentally, he's in their head, I think. Just being in the house and being around them,
and
it's
with
like,
this new format, you think they're probably going to set up a rematch of those fights if they're confident that he's going to do it again. So he'll get some points in that. He'll probably be, chirping those guys, talking about how he beat them up and so on and so forth. So I see where you're coming with on that.
Yeah, like I'm not 100% sure if he's that flamboyant type of character to get in somebody's face. At 32 years old, typically you don't see that as much as guys. They're a little more responsible. Those 25-year-old guys, that's when it's like, I got to make a name for myself. Because even if they don't think they're going to win the show, they'll go out guns a-blazing, being that Junie Browning type character, being that larger-than-life Jamie Yeager type guy, just to be a lightning rod so they can get on the finale card, right? Yeah. I don't know if every single guy will end up being on the finale card. I know some seasons have done that, and being that this is 2 mega gyms, sure, but I can't really see it. If a guy like Steve Montgomery gets KO'd in his first round of his first fight, he's not getting around.
Speaking of Steve Montgomery, let's have a look on the camera over there. Pat Mayo stopped by the office, and he's been doing his research. He said that Steve Montgomery looks like an insane person. So definitely that's Pat Mayo's first few impressions of one Steve Montgomery. Maybe you want to get him on your team. Maybe he gets knocked out in the first round. But he's probably going to be crazy, in Pat Mayo's opinion. So let's up-and-comers here. Obviously, they're up-and-comers for a reason. The tape
Well, you can
isn't
have Steve
too big on
Montgomery
him.
here if you want him as an up-and-comer. One big thing that he's got going for him is that he is 6'4" with a 76-inch reach.
Yeah, he's long.
So he's by far the biggest guy in the house. Let's say he was to match up with a guy like Luiz Firmino, who's a small guy, and you've got a massive guy. He could give a guy like that problems. The knock on Steve Montgomery is I remember him very distinctively from trying out on Bellator's reality show Fight Master, where he was KO'd in the first round by his own training partner, Christian Sousa. So it's like, oh man, do I really want to go all in on Steve Montgomery? Yeah, not really. I know that he's a big guy. I know that he's getting better. He's obviously improved since that Fight Master little debacle. And fighting a training partner, it's not really the real you. But to be honest, not sold on Steve Montgomery. And that's the thing you're going to see in these up-and-comers. It's like, okay, do I want Michael Graves? Michael Graves is just...
4-0.
He's very aggressive. He's wild. But he's not very refined. So he could get matched up with a guy that's not very good and just get taken down. And by that, I mean a guy like... actually, Carrington Banks is in the
Nathan
second.
Coy.
Sure, but that's a seasoned vet. When you're comparing him with the other guys, it's like a guy like Jason Jackson. It's like, ooh,
I don't know.
a guy
I
like
don't know
that.
if they're going to be fighting against other young guys.
Well, we don't really know. On one hand, you might look at like the last season of The Ultimate Fighter, where it's like, okay, we've got guys pre-ranked, girls pre-ranked from 1 to 16. We'll match them up that way. On the other hand, it's like, we really want Felice Herrick and Heather Jo Clark to fight. Who cares about the rankings? Let's just put them to fight each other.
Yeah, but
So
I
you
think,
might get
I think
something
these
like that.
gyms are going to be, singling out who they think are the weakest links and putting their best guys against them, trying to get points.
Okay. So what you're saying is they don't know the fight
They
until
don't know
the physical
fight until the
weigh-ins,
weigh-in.
but
And then
the teams know.
And then the fight
coaches
goes
know?
on at either ATT or Blackzilians, depending on who won the week before. They'll probably have a coin flip
Cool.
for
I like
the first,
it. I can
the first
dig it.
episode.
I can dig it. I like that.
So you get home turf, and you get to choose the fight, and the other guys don't know the fight until they show up to the weigh-in. So definitely interesting stuff.
Okay, well then to that exact same point, you got a guy like Michael Graves. He's wild. He's aggressive. He goes up against a guy like Carrington Banks. He's only 3-0. Basically just has a little bit of wrestling game. Taken down, laid and prayed. Damn it, I shouldn't have done that. So something definitely worth looking at when you're looking at these up-and-comers and the middle pack guys. It's like, need to figure out who these guys are and how they're going to score.
100%. So, basically just about out of time here. Remember, send all of your teams to toughfantasy@gmail.com. I cannot stress that enough. toughfantasy@gmail.com. Should be a very fun season. Me and Cody are going to be sitting here at the office, cutting our regular bookie beatdown, and then watching the show together, making sure we keep track of all of the points. Should be a fun season. Hope you all get involved in all of this as well. Any final comments there, Cody?
No, you know what? My final comment would normally be guys that I like and don't like, but I'm gonna keep that for myself this time. All right,
Well,
we got a very fancy prize pack for the winner of the inaugural season. So
the fanciest.
Sassman might want to leave home with that prize pack. So
there's a lot of fun and
I
exciting
got a final
things
thought
in that prize pack.
Got a final
None
thought.
of them cost very much money. We actually get all of it for free, believe it or not. It's a Fight Network and Fantasy Sports Network themed packs. So lots of fun, lots of free stuff.
Here's my final thought. I'm gonna take my solo camera here. Listen, all right, this show's pre-recorded, so if you go out of your way to find the results, and I know it's hard to find because you get a lawsuit, but if you are the kind of person to go on some internet forum and figure out who won to score some additional points, you're a rat, and I don't want you playing. You can play because I'm not gonna have any way of knowing, but we're not cheating. You shouldn't either. It'll be a fun time.
And you are dead to me.
Dead to me, and we're gonna put you on the dead
if
to
we
me
find
board.
out that you ever cheat, because everyone's trying to have fun with this, and we don't want you ruining everybody else's fun. The fun of this is not knowing what's going to happen.
That's exactly right.
Collecting points as we go along. So make sure you do that. Send all of your things again to toughfantasy@gmail.com. So for Cody Saftik, I'm Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.